So I wanted to make a video about mounting a Holosun HS507K or the 407K to the Canik TP9 Elite SC. I had a little bit of trouble finding information on if this could be mounted or not because this optic doesn't use the standard SMS mount. This one has two lugs in the front, but the rear lugs have been removed. And some guns you have to modify the gun to make this work. Luckily on our gun we don't have to, and I did find one video that was pretty helpful in explaining that by Ron Martinson. However, at the end of the video he was using some screws that I really didn't feel worked for it. He also didn't feel the same way. He was unhappy with it. He's looking for better screws. And I found those screws, and I wanted to show how I did this and why it works. So the first thing is the firearm comes with this optics mounting plate, and out of the box this has four of these lugs, just like the Shield SMS was designed to use. To make this work, you have to start by grinding off or cutting off the rear two lugs. And to do that, I used a set of these flush cutters and just placed them on there and snipped them off and proceeded to sand them down a little bit and smooth it out. I was using some 120 grit orbital disc sandpaper and it worked just fine. The other thing you have to do is these two front lugs are a little bit too tall. In addition to having the two rear lugs removed, these two front locating lugs are slightly shallower than the Shield SMS. So to fix that, you basically take this, lay it flat on the sandpaper, and go back and forth a few times. I think I did it no more than 3 or 4 times, placing it back on here and test fitting until it was flat and I couldn't see through it anymore. So once you've done that, you can get the optic to sit flat on the gun like it's supposed to. Just mount it up here. This is kind of an interesting fit. It kind of clicks into place. And so you'll kind of know you got it. There it goes. Not exactly. You can kind of see it's still bowed a little bit. I struggled with this to get this mounted correctly. There it goes. Front's in. Back's in now. Nice and flat. Once you've done that, the optic sits down on top of there, flat, and locates correctly. The next problem you run into are the screws that come with this red dot are somewhere between 10 and 11 millimeters long. And while they somewhat work, when you add the addition of this spacer, they really don't catch very well. So you can see how far that drops in, and really only a few threads catch, resulting in, a fairly unsecure mounting solution. I'll drop that guy down there, just snug it down. So we only got a couple turns at best. The way I fix this, what's different than the way Ron was doing, is I found this Swamp Fox screw kit. You can find this on Swamp Fox's website for $20. It's called the Swamp Fox Ultimate Red Dot Mounting Screw Pack. And this thing comes with all kinds of red dot mounting screws. And I really do mean all kinds of them. There's just tons and tons and tons of them in here. Hated paying $20 for 2 screws, but I don't think I'll have to buy red dot screws for a long time. Now, in this DIY additional screws pack, you'll find, oh, tearing up my bag. you'll find this M4 by 0.7 millimeter screws, and they're 14 millimeters long. These are the ones you need to mount this optic. This one has a slightly different head style, but once installed it actually recesses flat. So go ahead and drop that down in there. You can see how much taller this sits. It's going to grab several threads. And of course, when you're installing these, you'll use some blue thread locker and you'll torque them down to the manufacturer's recommended specifications. For the purpose of this video, I'm just going to snug it down. Now in Ron's video, he recommended 12 millimeter long screws. So initially I was pretty concerned that this 14 millimeter screw would hook through the other side. And that ended up not being the case. So looking down here on the bottom, these two holes here and here are the ones that line up with these two screws up here. This screw hole here has tons of room in it, and this one here with the 14 millimeter screw, there's still a couple millimeters of room left. I'm actually going to take a measurement off of that. Looks like there's 3.15 millimeters left, so you could actually go with a 16 millimeter long screw if needed. As well, I was concerned with the tops of the screws sticking out too far. Obviously the ones that came with it fit perfectly. They're flat, they look beautiful, but this one's not too bad either. And when properly snugged down in there, it pretty much sits flat, as you can see. Definitely doesn't obstruct your field of view in any way. And unlike the screws Ron was using in his videos, these ones are black and they don't stand out like a sore thumb on your new $300 optic. So hope that helps somebody. This ended up being a great optic. And I'm really happy with my purchase. If you're curious about the difference between the 407 and the 507 has this EOTech style circle with a dot in it. I can't get the camera to focus on it. I'll post a picture up of it. The 407K has a 6 MOA dot. The 507K has an option of a 2 MOA dot or a 32 MOA circle with a 2 MOA dot in the middle. Hope that helps. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments.